Hi guys, it's Nikki here from Mummy Fit Time, and as promised, here is our live pelvic floor exercise session. So I'll just give it a moment and let some people jump on when they're ready. So we'll just give it about maybe 30 seconds, but while we're waiting for some people to jump on, what I'll do is I'll talk through very quickly what we're going to want to do with our pelvic floor. And the very first thing that I want to, hi Jackie, the first thing that I want to talk about with pelvic floor is that if you haven't had your pelvic floor assessed, I very strongly recommend that you see a women's health physiotherapist who can properly assess your pelvic floor and its strength, and who can then give you some exercises that you can do if you are required to strengthen your pelvic floor a little bit more. If you're feeling quite confident with your pelvic floor, this is a great workout for you, but it's also a really good one for if you're just sort of starting to get to know your pelvic floor as well. So what we're going to do is tonight we're going to be focusing on two main things, and you would have seen these in my blog post earlier this week, and also the video that came out that was within the blog post on quick flicks and long hold. So I'll just go through those very quickly. So the first is a long hold, and that is where you're basically pulling upwards. So I want you to imagine that you're trying to stop flatulence, going to the toilet, and pulling in a tampon, all of those things, pulling them all up and in at exactly the same time. So everything down here, oh, you can't quite see me there, everything here is being pulled upwards. So that's your long hold, where we pull up and we hold. You also need to breathe throughout that and then release. Your quick flicks is exactly the same thing, where you're pulling up and release, up and release. So it's the same thing, just quicker. Okay, let's get stuck into our workout video. So today I'm going to be walking you through 8 exercises, and these exercises are basically just to give you an idea of what to do, and we're just going to do 10 reps of each of those exercises. You're always welcome to watch the replay and go through those again as well when you're ready. So let's get us started. First of all, we're going to start with some squats. So I'll make sure that I'm in a position that you can all see me. Okay, so we're starting with squats. What we're going to do with our squats is we're going to be pulling our pelvic floor up as we squat down. So when you see me doing this, that's a hold your pelvic floor on, and when my hands release, that's time for you to release your pelvic floor as well. So we're going to squat down and we're going to squeeze up our pelvic floor and release. Good, that's one. We've got 9 more to go. And squeeze up and release. Again, squeeze up. Now it's okay if you can't hold your pelvic floor as long as I am. Okay, that is absolutely fine. It takes time to work on the strength of our pelvic floor. Good, we've got 5 more to go. I'm just going to turn to the side, squeezing your pelvic floor up. Good. You can see I'm not doing anything else with my body. I'm continuing to do my squats as per normal. Squeeze that pelvic floor on. 2 more, I think I might have gone over, but we'll squeeze 2 more on. Good, and 1 more. Squeeze that pelvic floor on. Beautiful. And release. We're going to head down to the floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to get down onto our knees, and we're going to sit here so we're up on our knees and our toes are touching like so. What we're going to do here is we're going to be leaning back and then coming back up. I'm not expecting you to go far, okay? So none of this. You don't need to be doing that. Just as far back as you can and up. What we're going to do is we're going to squeeze our pelvic floor as we go backwards. So let's have a go together. Squeeze that pelvic floor on and release. Good. You might not feel yourself doing it as you go, but that's okay as long as you start at the beginning and then restart each time. Good. Keep going for me. You've got 5 more. Squeeze it on and release. Again, squeeze your pelvic floor and release. 3 more, squeeze and release and squeeze. Release. We're also secretly working our quads here, so lots of muscles going on. And release. Let's work our inner thigh now. So come on down to the ground. I'll just position myself so that you can see me well. We're going to do butterfly clams. And with our butterfly clams, normally when you do a butterfly clam, you leave your feet glued together and it's that motion. What we're going to do, same thing, but we're going to have our leg hovering. Okay, I just find that easier for us to work our pelvic floor at the same time. So we're going to squeeze our pelvic floor on when we open and then release as we close. Okay, we're also working our inner thigh here as we do this one. So let's have a go. Ready? And squeeze and release. Again, squeeze and release. You might also find here that your belly, your abdominals might be getting a bit of a workout, which is great because it's your transverse abdominis that you're going to be feeling, which is the bit that runs through here. Sorry, I've stopped halfway through our butterfly clams. Keep going for me, squeeze and release. Again, squeeze and release. We're going to go 5 more because I lost count because I started talking about our abdominals. Ready? Squeeze and release. Remember that pulling up motion of your pelvic floor. Pull it up and release. Again, pull it up and release. How's that inner thigh going while you're going here? Squeeze, release, and 1 more. Squeeze and release. Nice. Let's go to the other side. All right. So we're on the other side. We're going to squeeze and release again. Keep that leg just hovering, just there on top. Just make sure that you can see me in the camera. And here we go. Squeeze your pelvic floor on and release. So we're pulling everything up and release. Again, squeeze it up and release. Keep going for me. Squeeze and release. 6 more. Squeeze and release. Squeezing on. Release. 4 more. Squeeze. Release. Again. Squeeze. You're almost there. 2 more. Squeeze. Release. And last one. Squeeze and release. Perfect. Let's roll over onto our backs. So what we're going to be doing here is we are doing a leg rotation. So we're bringing our leg up. Both legs are bent like so. We're bringing one leg up. You can point your toes here and it will just help work your muscles a little bit further. So what we're going to be doing is we're still squeezing that pelvic floor. This is more of a long hold that we're going to be doing here. So what we're going to be, oh no, sorry, it's the other way around. It's a quick flick what we're going to be doing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate all the way around while your pelvic floor is relaxed. Then we're going to squeeze it up as our leg comes back up. Okay, so let's do 10 of those. Coming all the way around with your leg. Now squeeze that pelvic floor. Release as we come around again. And squeeze it on. Release. So these are quick flicks. Coming round, squeeze and release. Coming round with your leg and squeeze. Keep going for me. Round with your leg and squeeze. Point your toes as you're coming around. Round we go. Squeeze that pelvic floor on. Keep going. Around and squeeze it on. I've lost count. I'm too busy chatting. And last one. Around we go and squeeze it on. Let's go around to the other side. Okay, so we're going to lay down on the other side. Leg bent. leg up, the opposite leg up, point those toes, and again we're coming around with your leg, squeeze your pelvic floor on as you come up. Again, coming around with your leg and squeeze your pelvic floor on. All the way around and squeeze. Keep going. Around and squeeze. Around and squeeze your pelvic floor. Again, around, squeeze it on. Make sure that you're releasing the pelvic floor as we come around. Squeezing on. Around, release that pelvic floor. Squeeze it on. Let's do 2 more. Around and squeeze. 1 more. Round we go. And squeeze that pelvic floor and release. Beautiful. Okay, while we're laying on our back here, what we're going to do is some hamstring curls. So very similar to the picture that you would have seen when I advertised tonight. That coming up motion, just like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze our pelvic floor on as we raise our hips off the ground. So we're doing that pulling motion. You should sort of, I guess, because we're coming up like that, you're sort of pulling everything back this way. And then as you go back down, you release. Let's do 10. Ready? And go. Squeeze pelvic floor on and release. Again, squeeze and release. That's 2. Squeeze and release. Again, squeeze your pelvic floor on and release. Pushing your hips up as high as you can, all the way up to the roof. And coming back down. We've got 5 more to go. And squeeze your pelvic floor on and release. 4 more. Squeeze it on. Release. 3 more to go. Squeeze your pelvic floor on. Release. 2 more. Squeezing up. Release. Lucky last. Bring it all the way up. And down. While we're laying here, bring the legs together. We're going to do the same thing where we're pushing our hips up to the roof. But what we're going to do this time is we're going to open our legs like so and then coming back in. And what we're doing with the pelvic floor is we're squeezing as we open. So it's a bit of an extra challenge, okay? As we squeeze and release. Now it's okay if you get a bit of a concentration face going on here, because it does take a bit of concentrating as you do this one. Let's try it. Ready? And squeeze. Close those legs and release. Again, squeeze and release. You're also working your hamstrings as we do this one, and your glutes, and your quads. So it's a good upper leg workout. Squeeze that pelvic floor on and release. You've got 5 more. Squeeze, release, squeeze, pulling everything upwards and release. Again, squeeze, release, squeeze. Oh, I think I've lost count again. Let's do 2 more. Squeeze, release, and last one. Squeeze and release. Coming back down. Now this is one of my favorite ones, the next one that we're going to do. Just get a neutral spine, so just sort of massage yourself down into the ground. What we're aiming for is not to have a gap in our back just here, okay? So just pushing that down. We're going to create that gap. We're going to push our pelvis forward. So now you should have quite the arch. You should be able to slide your hands underneath, okay? We're going to come back down and flatten, and sort of we're rotating our hips, okay? So we're not coming off the ground. It's just a rotation. So if you can't quite see what my pelvis is doing here, what I'm doing is I'm kind of in, I'm kind of like this, and I'm doing this. So kind of like a caterpillar in a way. And what we're going to do is as we rock backwards with our pelvis, we're going to pull our pelvic floor up. So let's have a go. Ready? Pull up and release. Again, pull up and release. Make sure you pull up really quickly. I was slow with my hands just then, but we want to and release. Ready? And go. Pull up, release. Again, pull it up quickly and release. Keep going for me. Pull up and release. Pull up and release. You've got 4 more. Pull up and release. Pull up, release, pull up, release. Last one. Pull up and release. Perfect. Let's bring ourselves up off the ground. We're going to get into a lunge position. So what we're going to do with our lunges, we're just going to do a static lunge and we're just going to do lunge dips. So make sure that your feet are about a hip width apart. Bring one leg forward, the other further backwards. And we're just going to be bringing our knee down to the ground. Make sure your hips are nice in line so we're not twisting here. We're just coming forward, dropping that knee to the ground. I'm just going to turn slightly so you can see me. Now what we're going to do to incorporate our pelvic floor is as we go down, you're going to pull that pelvic floor upwards, okay? So let's have a go. Pull your pelvic floor up and release. Let's do another 9 of those. Here we go. Pull up and release. We're not going too far down, okay? So we're not going for world record lunges here. We're just doing enough to work the pelvic floor and also work our quads. Okay, let's continue. Sorry, I got shutting again. And here we go. Pull up. That's 8. Well, no, there's 7 more to go. Pull up. 6 more. Pull up. Keep going. Pull up. Nice. 4 more for me. Pull up. Good. Again, pull that pelvic floor up. 3 more. Pull it up. And squeeze pelvic floor on. Pull it up. 2 more. Pull it up. And last one. Pulling up. Swap legs. Okay, remember our technique so we're not twisting our hips. Okay, hips nice and parallel to our legs. Okay, and here we go. Dipping down. We're not going for huge dips, remember. Just enough to work your pelvic floor, but get I guess a decent dip in, but not all the way down to the ground. Okay, here we go. Squeeze that pelvic floor, pull it all up, and go. Pull it up, and release. Again, pull up, and release. Keep going for me. 8 more. Pull it up, and release. Pull up, and release. Keep going. Pull, release. Pulling pelvic floor all the way up and release. I've lost count again. Let's do 4 more, shall we? And pull it up. Good. Pull up. 2 more. Pulling up. And last one. Pulling up. Beautiful. Okay, and that is all 8 of our different exercises that you can do to work your pelvic floor. So keep those in mind, and if you're wanting to go through those again, then do replay this video and do it another 3 times through so you've got a really good workout going on. And as I said at the start as well, it's absolutely okay if you feel that your pelvic floor is releasing through those exercises, or it doesn't feel like you're turning your pelvic floor on as much as you can. Okay, that's absolutely okay, because as it strengthens over time, then it will get better and you'll be able to feel it working much more as well. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, or if you're catching me on the replay, and let's make those pelvic floors strong. See ya.